you can do so much for your business without ever appearing on social media or ever appearing on video. There are so many successful, profitable businesses out there who still don't use these avenues, right?
Today's show is so good.
But number one, I've never seen an intro like that.
It is my hope and desire that not only will episode 30 still be fun, but episode 300 will be even more fun. You are made for something great, so go and be awesome.
Ten seconds remaining.
Hello, and welcome to the show. My name is Renee Hastings, and I'm your host of Renee Speaks. Y'all, today's show is going to be so fantastic, and that is because of our amazing guest. Her name is Prassède Kemp, and she is a marketing strategist and coach who helps founders move beyond being the default marketer and show up with clarity, confidence, and sustainable systems. As the founder of Numinous, she built a multi-six-figure agency helping service-based brands stand out through bold, personality-driven content. She has worked with over 300 entrepreneurs, focusing on storytelling, visibility, and creating content strategies that drive growth without the burnout. Y'all, put your hands together for Prassède Kemp. Hey, Prassède.
Hey, thank you for having me. That was a beautiful intro. I'm so grateful.
Oh, awesome. I'm so excited that you are here because as a founder, we can never know enough about marketing. We are, especially since we are usually the chief promoters of our businesses. And if we weren't born promoters, we need all the help we can get.
So true. So true. And so often business owners don't get into their vision to be marketers. So learning how to market well and sustainably becomes that much more important, right? So that you can enjoy your zone of genius, as it's called. And not be that marketer. So that's what we always seek to do. And it's awesome to be able to do so.
Yes. Well, I am, like I said, so grateful that you took the time to get the understanding of what it's all about so that you can help people like little old me to stay in our zone of genius while all that other marketing stuff gets done behind the scenes and starts to take root to help us get to where we want to go. Exactly. So, Prassède, tell us what inspired your path into marketing strategy and founding Numinous.
Yeah, so it certainly wasn't linear. And I know some of your past guests have shared something similar too. So I think that's the entrepreneurial spirit, right? I got my master's degree in conflict resolution and peace studies, and actually was intending to work in international aid early in my career, and I got to do so. And then I segued into project management for a while and got a little bit of taste of corporate. Wasn't my cup of tea necessarily. And so when that chapter of my life ended, I had a really wise friend who sat me down and, had a reflective moment with me and shared that there was so much that I had to offer in terms of skills that I enjoyed: writing, photography, strategic thinking and things like that. Why not combine them all and use them to help business owners like himself in those areas so that he could focus again on his zone of genius. And thus, Numinous was born 8 years ago. And of course, we've had our evolutions for sure, but still at the heart of it, it's really about helping business owners embody their story, to see themselves the way that the world sees them, to see themselves the way that they want to see themselves, and then be able to put that out online. So,
Wow.
and it's been a long journey full of evolution, but just so honored to be here.
Wow. Did you say 8 years ago?
Yeah, 8 years ago. I know it's
Holy
been
moly. That is worthy of applause because that is wonderful as an entrepreneur for 8 years. Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
fantastic.
We
Yeah.
did just celebrate our birthday here just a few weeks ago. So yeah, officially 8 years now.
Wow. So looking back on it, from where you started to where you are today,
Mhm.
what would you say has been the most impactful thing that's happened to get you where you are?
Gosh, that is such a great question. And again, I feel like the nature of entrepreneurship is it always feels like that pivotal turning point is happening. I feel it happens at least once a year. I wonder, there's always something. Well, I would say since the birth of Numinous, one of the big pivotal points, as I'm sure with a lot of other folks who have been running their businesses as long, was COVID. Certainly, I had always intended to start my business as a remote service and so I was very lucky in the sense moving into that era in the world that we were very prepared structurally to do that. However, when the world shut down, the day that my city shut down, I actually came down with the first wave of COVID, followed by pneumonia as well. And so, I was building my little business at the time from my bed, and everything was so uncertain. And there's about a 3-month period where things were just really up in the air. And then a few sectors of my clients served ended up falling in the category of essential services. And it was one of those first moments where I learned that decisions need to be made quickly and with like full-bodied confidence. And so when I saw that unfold, I pivoted into essential services. And even though I was still working from my bed, just super, super sick, my business from there gratefully took off in the next few months, and I was able to hire a few more team members at that time, and it just really helped us scale. So I think combination of already being prepared for the remote world, like having worked in communications that way, and then having that moment where it was like, I'm gonna sink or swim, and I don't care how sick I am surviving. I am going to survive. And not only got to do that, but thrive through that period. And I think my takeaways from that certainly were, focusing on what works, making bold decisions, moving forward with full faith in yourself, and so many other learnings from that period. But I would say that's one of the most pivotal eras in my business for sure.
Wow. Wow. I can definitely relate. Well, congratulations. You made it. You're still making it and you are thriving. You've now built a multi 6-figure business, and it's the best is yet to come. I just know it.
Yes, certainly. I hope so too, for sure.
Yeah. So then, Prassède, how would you say that your experience through all this time, you now have been working with over 300 different entrepreneurs. How has that shaped your approach to clarity and systems?
Well, I think it creates such a unique container naturally, right? To be able to observe cause and effect amongst that many different clients, you start to really observe patterns across spectrums of different characters and business models, and you're able to naturally start to see, if something starts here, it may end up here, or if someone is faced with these sort of challenges or they have these strengths, then this sort of route might prove to be more successful. And I would say, with that many clients and all these years in business, you just start to naturally create some theories that you get to test and see if those work out in your favor or not. So it definitely has been, a long road. Now we pride ourselves on having tried and true systems really work for our sector of clients, which is the service-based business, someone who needs a high degree of trust with their clients. They have a high ticket service, and they're really bringing folks in through connecting with them, whether that's online or in person, and they're bringing them into their world, right? And taking a little while to nurture them before they're converting into a relationship. A lot of our clients pride themselves on having long-term relationships with their clients. So our marketing systems have really been designed for that person. And we've just had the honor of trying that out with so many different clients who've trusted us over the years and really seeing what has worked. So I think our systems work, and they work well because we've really tried them with our whole heart. So that's what I would say.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I love how you can basically take what you've learned from one, build on it, and make the next one even better. That's kind of what it sounds like you're saying.
Yeah, certainly. So, great example of that is a lot of clients come to me and they really want to be visible in their brand. They want to maybe have a podcast, or they want to be on social media, but then they find themselves faced with all of the inner work that maybe hasn't done when you broach being visible by the public, right? And so when I started to see that was a pattern that people were facing, I got the opportunity to ask myself, okay, how can we assist in this? How can we weave confidence building and clarity in messaging and mindset into our work to create, a system of support and empowerment around our clients so that they not only are prepared for the online world, but they feel totally confident going into it. And so, once you start to see the pattern, you start to bring your ethics, your morals, and your theories into that, and you get to play around. And I pride us on really supporting our clients deeply in that transformation, that personal transformation of being visible online, and building them marketing systems that support that.
Yeah, well, that is such a great service that you offer, because I don't think people realize what it is until they get into it. And then they're like, "Ooh, this feels weird. This feels strange. I'm not even sure I like the sound of my voice." And, is this wrinkle showing, or is that wrinkle showing? Is this gray hair showing? All the different things. And there's a certain way that you go about addressing all of those things so that they're no longer a thing, that it's just you. It's just authentic you and who you are. And that is perfect, the way that you are. And so we don't have to, at least I don't think, I'm no marketer, but I don't think that we have to change who we are in order to show up well. And that there might be some different teaching opportunities in terms of, public speaking or inflections or the way we tell a story or something to that effect. But I think it all comes together. And I'm so glad that you support your clients in bringing it all together so that you show up as your authentic self and the best representation of your business.
Yeah. It is really so important. I think ultimately, because if you want to support your business at a strategic level, you don't want to keep investing in efforts that you don't like or that you might stop a month from now, right? And so at the heart of it too, it's really the foundation of building a sustainable marketing support system for yourself. And, there's a lot that you will learn about yourself in the process, certainly. And, I think you spoke to it so well. You don't have to show up differently than you are, but you do have to have an awareness about who that is and how you want to convey that to others online, right? And that's a process of self-discovery. I always say, like, authenticity isn't just this one thing that you decide, it's an ever evolving or growing concept of yourself and a dialogue. Once you bring that to the online space, it's a dialogue that you have with your audience, right? And
Yeah.
you might see that evolve or improve, however you want to call it, over time too as well. And so not worrying so much about the starting point is so crucial, I think, for most business owners. Is you don't have to show up differently than you are. You don't have to show up perfectly, but do start, like take a leap on yourself and just begin.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you were speaking, it made me think about AI and how, out there now there's these digital twins where you can have your what looks like you, like it'll make headshots for you for, different things, but you can do like whole videos that look like you actually speaking, using hand gestures, different movements and everything that looks like you and sounds like you.
Yeah.
But it's not you, it's AI. What do you think about that? What's your perspective and take on that?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't broached the world of digital twins, although I've looked into it, and I do think it's an interesting concept. I can see the attraction in it, certainly, because I think folks don't realize until they sit down in front of a camera, how much they're going to feel exposed in that environment. And I imagine that that's perhaps a lot of the reason to do a digital twin, is so that you don't feel that pressure of having to be in front of the camera yourself. I understand it for the tool that it is. It obviously has its pros, its cons, it has its implications. I will say, AI is, I think, a vital tool ultimately. And I do think that in a lot of capacities, especially for business owners who are working with just themselves or a small team, for women entrepreneurs, for a lot of people in a lot of spaces, it is such a equalizer. Like, we don't even fully conceptualize quite yet how much AI can equal the playing field in a way that we've never really seen before. And it can give folks that don't have the resources for a huge team structure or a lot of time, it can give them an advantage that they may never have had in the past. And for that reason, I've seen it have just such a transformational effect for so many businesses. I think at this point, we're so at the beginning of it, and we're having to all kind of decide at this level, and how businesses at this level typically are using AI, our own kind of ethical code around that too as well. And we've certainly had to go through that as a company too. I will say also, like, everybody seems to think that AI is going to take marketing out completely. And so far, I'm not totally convinced that I've seen that effect yet. I feel that the marketer or the business owner who is bringing AI in a responsible and effective manner is winding up ahead. I feel I've seen that, I feel, in the last 6 months to a year or so. But in terms of the digital twin, I have it's crossed my mind. I'm not totally sure I would do it necessarily, but I don't fault people for wanting to either. I think there's a lot of reasons that someone might. And at the end of the day, if that erases a roadblock for you, a really important roadblock for you, or you're using it also as a stepping stone to get more confident, to be on video, or to see yourself reflected in the online space without having to fully expose yourself, it's an interesting tool that we have available to play with. So, again, I'm not totally sure how I feel about it for me, but I understand why others might use it, certainly.
Right. And I know that I that wasn't one of the questions that I had sent in advance that you could prepare for. So I appreciate you just kind of coming off the cuff about, your thoughts and opinions on it, because it either, usually what I found is that either someone is all for it or they're totally against it. There's not usually a whole lot of in between. But I love how you said how some people might use it as a stepping stone to get more comfortable, to see what they look like or what they could look like, or maybe they might even notice mannerisms in these things that they didn't even realize that they had. And so it kind of exposes that, and then they'll know some things to work on. And in some cases, people just may not have time to do video. They just but they know how important video is
Mhm.
to, getting out content and things like that. And so it could just be a time issue, and they're just trying
Yeah.
to increase their own productivity.
Yeah, or even like an accessibility issue. For example, I work with clients and I've talked to hosts before who struggle with things like chronic illnesses or disabilities. And think about the accessibility that you're given with a tool like that for someone who may not, physically be able to keep up with the demands of growth that this new online world has of us. I don't think that we can talk about the internet or talk about marketing without talking about AI now. I don't think that will ever be the case from here forward. And so there are interesting, benefits to it that I think don't come into the conversation quite as much as they should. Obviously, there are huge cons to using AI at this point, and we're really trying to understand the direction that the world is going to go now that these tools are available to us. So, we're kind of in this waiting period or in this shaping period where we're participating in the shaping of these new tools available to us. But again, there's potentials to it that are, I think, just so equalizing for so many people at the same time. So
Yeah.
I take the position of I try to teach my clients to use it well and use it as an extension of themselves, not a replacement of themselves necessarily.
Right. Yes, that's so important. It will not replace you. And even now, people are getting more savvy about detecting, what's AI and what's not. And they're like, that's not really them.
Yeah. I think people will, obviously it's also getting more difficult to detect in some ways, but humans will always catch up, and that's why you can't use it to replace that heartfelt connection. If people, if you want people to have a relationship with you, you are going to have to show up, at the end of the day, whether that's through words or videos. People will feel it if your heart and your authenticity and your real, embodied passion are in your work as you put it online, and they'll sense it if it's not.
Yeah, 100% all day. So, Prassède, can you tell me about a defining moment that showed you the impact of building confidence in visibility? Because we were talking about, AI can't do it. Not 100% all the time. And so if we want to do this, we want to do it well. Do you have any examples of or any impact that you can share with us of people getting okay with this and doing it well?
Yeah, certainly. Gosh, so many examples. I have a client who I've worked with for a very long time, who when she first approached me, really thought that she wanted to talk about her business and move into the next chapter of her entrepreneurial journey through video. And we had this really interesting dynamic for the first year where every time I would try to get her to film something, subsequently she wouldn't film it or turn it in, or things would get rescheduled and it would just never happen. And I remember there was a pivotal point where I just sat down with her and I said, hey, this isn't happening. And this is the reason why you're working with me. So what is going on here? Like, lay it all out, because our relationship isn't going to work if I can't help you. Right. And she told me that, she opened up with all of these insecurities that she was feeling around video. And every time she saw herself reflected through that medium, it was just making her cringe. And, my approach to that at the time, and this was all instinctive, was, okay, let's sit and reevaluate what you feel your strengths are. And let's develop a marketing system around those strengths. And, she is an interior designer. And so very, very artistic, very eloquent in the visual world, and also as well very verbose, conveys herself well through written language. And so I said, okay, we're changing everything. We're taking out this video element, and we're just going to focus first on building consistency and reps through marketing, through your strengths. And we did that. It worked fabulously for her marketing system, for her business. We were able to fill her up with projects. And then as she was able to see herself reflected online through her strengths, she built confidence in that. And over time, we were able to then move video back into that system because it didn't feel like such a gigantic leap, right? And so that was a really pivotal moment of learning that we can always get people there, right? But we also need to meet people where they're at and build them up through their strengths and build the foundation, which is consistency, it's repetition, it's practice with your messaging, and then start to weave in those more vulnerable elements or the things that you may want for yourself, but don't feel quite ready for yet. So I would say that was a really pivotal moment. And I've taken so many lessons from that I've used to build group coaching programs, to build offers, to help people build that foundation first if they want to be online.
Right. Oh, that's so smart. That was really, really smart to first of all have discernment about what was actually behind the rescheduled meetings, missing the deadlines, and all of that. It's like, okay, something's going on here. What's happening? And then for her to actually, dig deep to say, look, this is what it is. This is not my jam. This I don't feel good about this. But then to probe even further, to uncover what does work for her, what does come naturally for her, that sort of thing. And I love how you said, the more you do that and you operate in what comes naturally, and you build confidence in yourself, it does get easier to do those things that kind of stretch you a little bit. Because when you are stretching one baby step at a time, it's easy. And before you know it, you're taking big steps, and then you're walking, and then you're running, and then you're leaping, and all the things. Yep. So it's just a process. And I love how you took her through that process.
Yeah. And I would encourage that any business owner, because this is often at the heart of it too, is a mindset or an emotional discomfort with being exposed, with being visible. If you find yourself resonating with that story at all, don't force yourself into it. I think there are so many avenues to market, and they all work very effectively when done right. If you are not a video person today, then do something that is maybe written. Email marketing is still top of the game way to market. Blog market, bring traffic into your website, go out and network if you are a communicator in that way, and then bring people into your marketing system from there. You can do so much for your business without ever appearing on social media or ever appearing on video. There are so many successful, profitable businesses out there who still don't use these avenues, right? And so just because we're told this rhetoric that you have to do all of these things, it's not true. And you're going to be happier and you're going to commit to something longer if you feel really confident in it. So, even though a lot of my work is in social media, I am never forcing anybody to use only those platforms or to use those platforms as their primary means of marketing if it doesn't truly fulfill them or contribute, to their wellness overall, because business owners have so many other things going on. Why would you want this to be an additional drain when it doesn't have to be, right?
That's right. You don't want it to feel stressful. We've got enough stress in our lives.
Yes.
We don't need to add to the pile with trying to be something we're not, trying to market the business. Yeah. So I love how you said that there are so many different avenues of marketing that we could take. It doesn't have to be social media. It doesn't have to be video. It can totally be email communications and a website, a blog, or whatever it is. There are many different, my mom used to say, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yes.
And I don't mean any offense to any cat lovers out there, but she's just saying there's more than one way to get things done. So sure. Yeah, and I love how you broke that down for us. So.
Yeah, and you're a great example of that, because podcasting is such a beautiful way to market. And if you find that you're someone who is only concerned with being on video when it's just you alone, but you communicate well with other people. I love a podcast. Like we run a program where we, help people get on other people's podcasts. And I'm always encouraging people, like, experiment with that. Go on other people's podcasts. If you're a conversationalist, being a conversationalist is a marketing strength. Play to that, right? And so you're a beautiful example of how to do that well, and how to play to your strengths, and how to enjoy it, how to enjoy your marketing.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. We love podcasting and love being able to share not only our message about who we are and what we do, but especially our guest message and sharing their subject matter expertise. They're the subject matter experts. And so when you come on a show, a podcast, and you're talking about your business and how you help other people and what problem you solve, that is marketing all day, like all day. So it's a fantastic tool and opportunity and resource that's available out there for those that, want to take advantage of that gift that they have of communicating. So I love that you brought that up. And, Live Stream Editors is also here to serve you, as well as your Done For You podcast production company. Just saying.
And you do it so well, and podcast production is no joke. So, if you're going to get into this world, have help with it. That's what I'll say.
Yes, for sure. But then you also need to be able to tell the story, which is where you come in. So tell us, Prassède, how do you use storytelling as a real business strategy for growth? And gosh, I can't believe that we're almost out of time. So.
Yeah, no. So that's a great question. How do I use storytelling as a means of business growth? We have to remember when putting ourselves online that ultimately what our viewer is trying to do is connect with us. Whether that's simply to verify a product or to check you out or to see if they have something in common with you, especially the people I work with, typically the people that they want to market to are similar to themselves in a way, right? They're typically solving a problem for someone like themselves. Whether that's, a realtor who's helping people buy a home for their family or the growth of their family, or it's, even like some of we love like our trades clients. Like I have a great client who's a plumber, and obviously there's a very specific solution. The niche there is focused around the problem, but they have the people that they resonate with too. And whether that's a geographical constraint, like so many of my clients, and you may feel similarly, are people we want to work with them, right? You want to resonate with them in some way. Yeah. And how do we connect with people best? But through storytelling, through sharing a little bit of who we are, not being an impersonal face, right? We use, and all of the big companies do this too, we like, whether it's Google or Budweiser or any of these large companies, they know the power of storytelling, and some of our favorite aspects of that might be like the Coca-Cola polar bears or, whatever it is. And it doesn't need to be always your story too, because there's another side to this where a lot of people feel overly vulnerable when they want to share themselves online or share their business online. And I want to clarify that embodying a good story or sharing a good story doesn't have to equate to overexposing things about your life that you don't want to, right? It is a means, it's meant to be a means of connecting with the people that you want to connect with. So what do they care about? What would help them make a decision? What do you want to share with them that is going to come into your work foundationally and be a part of their experience in working with you? All of these elements of storytelling are really how we build trust. They're how we build likability. They're how we build commitment. And that's so important when you're not meeting people face to face as often, right? You're meeting them through a website or you're meeting them through social media. If you don't have the chance for that personal human connection, how else are you going to do it? But conveying that story online, right? And helping them build that rapport with you virtually.
Right. It's so important. And when you share a little bit of yourself? Because I know that some people overshare. That is not cute. That is not attractive. That is not, I don't even think that's wise when you overshare
Mm-hmm.
so much about your personal life and as a means of, I think, trying to appear authentic and relatable. I think there's limits, and that could just be because of, me and my own
Mm-hmm.
issues. I may have issues.
Mm-hmm. No, not at all. I feel the same.
But when you do share some, it makes you definitely feel real. It makes it like whoever is watching, you could be best friends. You guys could be having a brunch and having the same conversation because it's so relatable. And when you can be relatable to your audience, I think it makes it easier for them to want to get to know you better and then eventually do business with you, because people do business with people that they know and trust.
Exactly.
And so storytelling, it plays such a huge role in that, such a huge role. So thank you so much for breaking that down for us to let us know, what, not so much of the boundaries or barriers or the limitations of it, but how to make it work for you and your business.
Yeah, I have a little formula for that actually that I find is very, very useful. If you're someone who feels like you're just all business online and you need that little bit of a touch point, but you don't know quite how to broach storytelling or building that familiarity or that human aspect. And I always say there's just a few things, like keep talking about your business, but what's one hobby that you like sharing or that you do a lot? Or what is one thing, part of your routine that you wouldn't mind sharing? Or what is just something that humanizes you, right? So for me, I love my dog. I could share and talk about my dog like all day long. But if I were to have kids, I probably wouldn't share them online, right? I love having a tea or a coffee in the morning. It's very much part of my ritual, and I feel open-hearted about that. I could bring that in. I could show people, me making my coffee in the morning. I could show people me and my dog on a walk in the morning, right? And I wouldn't have to also maybe share that, that I have kids or don't have kids, or that, I wouldn't need to talk about maybe my religious positioning if I was uncomfortable with that. There's so many ways to build out humanity. I have a client, for example, who's in real estate in Manhattan, and we just discovered about her that she has this past career as a voiceover artist on some really famous shows in the 90s. And we were able to start weaving that into her brand, and it actually helped things blow up across her YouTube channel, across her marketing in general. And it's one aspect of her past that just creates layer of depth that wouldn't have been there otherwise. And so it really can be anything, and it doesn't have to be everything.
Right. Oh, I love that. It really can be anything and doesn't have to be everything. That is really, really good. And you never know what's going to resonate with people, or what's going to resonate with the audience, or what's going to draw the people to you. So that's really so good. Prassède, this has been so refreshing, so enlightening. I love the formula that you have for, how you know what's too much or what to say or what to share, so that you're not being too much or doing too much. And that, because I'm sure there's a balance. There's a balance. And if people want to know more about maybe not just what that balance is, but what their particular marketing style is, or what strategy could work for them, how can they reach out to you? How can they stay in touch and continue the conversation?
Yeah, Instagram is always a great place to reach us. My website here at numinouscreative.com. You can reach out and just have a discovery call. It's free to do. I'm happy to talk over your business at any point. We have a suite of resources as well to get started, so that you can kind of get a taste of how we work, but do that on your own. We have the Untapped Creator, which is our group coaching option that's really focused on embodied confidence and seeing yourself as a creator. But Numinous Creative Instagram here is a great place to shoot me a DM, and I'm always happy to chat. This is a great place to get in touch and see, what option you might like best. We can always talk about it. You'll be talking with me directly there. And so I'm always happy to have a conversation here.
Wow, so
Yeah.
good. What beautiful website.
Oh,
I
thank
love the color, the palette that you've chosen. Very warm and very calming. And
you.
yeah, so nice. At numinouscreative.com, on all the socials as well, Instagram. Y'all definitely DM Prassède so that she can help you overcome whatever marketing fears you might have, or just work through what a strategy could look like. So,
Mhm.
Prassède, in closing, is there one last thing that you would like to share with our audience that they should remember if they don't remember anything else?
Oh gosh. I guess what I would share is don't be afraid to start small. Just start with consistency and just start. Just shoot out an email today. I challenge you to shoot your audience an email, your email list an email. Just that. Commit to that once a month. Start small, start with confidence, start with consistency. That is the best starting place, I would say.
I love that. Oh, I love that. Start small, start with consistency, just start. So good. So, Prassède, you were made for something great. So go and be awesome.
Thank you.